Today, I get to interview Beth Broom, and I love conversations with her. And so recently, Joy, and I had a conversation about Psalm 23, and it really blew my mind of things that I had never considered before as a person's journey to healing and wholeness after coming out of oppression, and how Psalm 23 just is an overview of this. And so I was like, let's recreate this conversation. We did a post on it and kind of shared some of it, but I'm excited to really delve deep into this today. So if everybody's joining us, say hello in the comments. Let us know where you're watching from. Welcome, Beth, and I'll let Beth introduce herself as well.
Thank you, Lauren. Yeah, I'm so excited to get to be on a call this afternoon, and more excited even about the retreat. It's going to be really wonderful this year, and was so incredibly blessed to get to go last year, and so glad I get to come again this year. But my name is Beth Broom. I live in the Dallas, Texas area, and as we speak, we are thawing out here. We've had 4 snow days in a row, but they're not really snow. It's more like just ice, big sheets of ice on the roads. So no one knows how to drive.
Just ice on the roads.
No one knows how to drive in Texas on roads like
No.
that. So they just shut everything down. So we're doing well. We're all okay in Dallas. But I have a private counseling practice. I'm a trauma counselor. And so really all of my clients have experienced trauma of some sort, mostly abuse. And that is my specialty, and I love it. I'm also on staff at the Village Church Denton as the care minister, which means I work with specific situations in our church as well, where there's abuse that's happening or has happened, and being able to come alongside people specifically who are suffering. So I love that. And then the last thing is that I oversee a nonprofit organization called Christian Trauma Healing Network, which is founded, and its purpose is to help helpers. So those that are counselors, advocates, pastors, giving them tools for how to come alongside survivors of trauma in a Christ-centered way. And so I'm not bored, Lauren. I don't sit around and twiddle my thumbs with 3 jobs. So.
That's awesome. I love the work about your nonprofit too. I'm excited to learn more about that sometime. That's awesome work that you're doing. And Beth is one of our plenary speakers at a retreat, and I am so excited about that. Joy has said numerous times, and knows she was here today. She wanted to be here. She is actually at a Protect the Flock training in Washington, D.C. Washington State, and is not able to make it. But she said that she's had the theme of He Restores My Soul on her heart for a while. And then she found out that the bulk of your practice is based off of Psalm 23. You use that a lot in your therapy and counseling. So it felt like a puzzle piece just kind of came together when she invited you to the retreat, and very excited that this is something that you're going to be sharing on. And this is what our 2023 retreat is about, is He Restores My Soul. And so today we're going to talk about that. So I'm looking forward to having this conversation again and being encouraged, and I know everybody else watching will be as well. So let's dive on in.
Great. The first thing that I would want to share is, as we think about Psalm 23, it is a psalm from the heart of a shepherd about the Good Shepherd. So the psalm is about our Good Shepherd, the Lord. And if you have experienced really, really hard things, it's hard for us to even wrap our heads around what is a shepherd? What does a shepherd do? What makes a shepherd effective in his job? And I did some studying on this because I just thought it was really intriguing. I don't really understand what happens in agricultural things. I don't know anything about shepherding. So I thought I'm going to study this a little bit. And it really helped me because as I think about what the Lord does, and Jesus calls himself the Good Shepherd, he takes care of his flock. He brings them in and creates safety and security, and he brings wisdom, and he provides clarity and a direction to where we need to go. That's what shepherds do. And so I love Psalm 23. And I actually, as I started learning about the trauma healing process in my training as a counselor, and I thought about what is needed for someone to be able to go through the process of healing from abuse, trauma, those sorts of things. Man, this really came to my mind, because when I think about what does the Good Shepherd do, he helps us to lie down in green pastures. He creates a place of rest for us. And that actually comes first. So yes. I love that, because I think sometimes in counseling, I'm a trauma survivor. I'm an abuse survivor myself. And so I remember being in scenarios, both in pastoral care and also in counseling scenarios, where it just felt like I was being rushed to like create a strategy and a plan for like, here's what you do to make things better, to
Yes.
make life better, instead of like, actually, I need a place to feel safe.
Hmm.
If I'm going to grow and heal, I need rest. I need restoration. So, this idea of him restoring my soul, that's what I need. And I need that to happen in order to be able to get up and move. And so that was just a huge piece for me, and it's huge for my clients. It's huge for those that I minister to just have a safe space to be restored, and knowing that the Lord is the great provider of that. And I get to come alongside and try to create spaces for it, but the Lord himself is the one who can create rest and renewal and to lead us beside streams of water and green pastures. There's all this imagery that's really beautiful of what it looks like to rest and to be nourished and fed by the Lord. And I'm excited because we get to talk about that throughout the whole retreat. It's going to be wonderful.
Yes.
And we even, Joy and I have talked about getting to do some exercises that help us to lean into that imagery of the
Mhm.
Lord providing safe spaces for us. And I'm just really, it's going to be wonderful. I can't wait to get to share more about it.
Yes, and I'm pulling up Psalm 23 as we're talking right now, looking at it. And I remember one part you were talking about, and I was wondering if you could share a tidbit of it. Is you're talking about, yea, the part where it says, sorry, it's in KJV. Yea, though I walk through the valley of shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For thou art with me, thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. And then it goes, thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Can you tell me a little bit about that aspect?
Yeah. So, in the journey of walking alongside people who are struggling, again, I think the foundational thing is that sense of safety and restoration and renewal and a belief. Like, I think I can begin to believe that Jesus is my shepherd and that there is a way forward. And as that begins to happen, then we move into this phase of our journey of telling our story and
Mm-hmm.
even revisiting to some degree, maybe not specific memories, but the emotions and the pain points and the beliefs that have gotten lodged, false beliefs or negative beliefs that have gotten lodged down in our hearts as a result of trauma and abuse. And we revisit that. And that to me is this imagery of walking through the valley of the shadow of death. Because even though you're not dying, it feels like death to
Yes.
walk that road of having to like recount and think about and remember and grieve. And so we're grieving. And it's beautiful to know that we never, ever, ever do that alone. Our shepherd is right there with us. And so when David says, when I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, he's not just like pepping himself up. He's not giving himself a pep talk. He's basically saying, I know in my heart of hearts, I don't have to be afraid of the
Mm-hmm.
memories or the emotions or the pain because the Lord is with me. And he actually is linking arms with me on the journey through the valley. And then so that's really a huge part of what we get to do as we do that healing process. And then this idea of sitting at a table, the Lord preparing a feast for me. And I absolutely love it's almost a little bit like I don't know if I should use the word snarky. The Bible's not snarky, but there's almost this sense of like, not only does he prepare a table for me, but the enemy has to stand over there and watch me feast on
Oh,
the goodness of the Lord. He doesn't
yes.
have power anymore. He doesn't have the power to
Right.
pull me under in the way that he used to have. And
Mm-hmm.
whatever you conceptualize as your enemy, there's this concept of the Lord giving us what we need, and not just like, here's some bread and water, but here's a feast. Here's an anointing with oil, and your cup is running over. So this idea of abundance, the abundance of the Lord that follows us all the way into our eternal home. And I work because I work in this field. I know it's so hard for people to grab hold of that and believe it when they've experienced a lot of hurt, and when there are questions that swirl for them of like, where was the Lord? Did he
Mm-hmm.
not provide for me? Was he not there for me? Did he not love me in these moments of horrible things that have happened? So what we're doing is trying to encounter the God in his true nature, who he really is, which is a God who's full of abundance and love, who's slow to anger, who longs for us to be restored. And we see a picture of that in Psalm 23. So I love the imagery of it. And I love us being able to to think about these concepts of justice. The Lord's justice is coming, even if we haven't seen it yet. The fact that our enemy doesn't have power over us and he has to remain on the sidelines while we receive the goodness of the Lord, that's really comforting to
Yeah.
know when we're in our healing process.
Yes, I love that. And I love the fact of feasting in the presence of our enemies. When you explained that to me, that was just so incredibly healing, because I was just like, that's so true. Like, so many times when you go through abuse, you want justice, your heart cries out for it. And you're not going to see that here on earth. But you can, in the presence of your enemies, you can find a feast in God and what he's going to do in and through your life as he fills himself with you. And you find satisfaction in him despite what they said. And I don't know, something about that is super healing, to know that we will feast with him.
Yeah. 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 So when I think about, and the other thing that one thing I find that be really helpful, when David says, surely goodness and mercy will follow me all the days of my life, that word follow, actually, a more direct translation would be like chasing. So
Yes.
goodness and mercy are chasing after me. They're hunting me down in particular ways. And that's also something that we sense that we don't have when we're in the middle of deep struggle. It's hard to know, where is the goodness? Where is the mercy of God in the midst of this? It's hard to see it. It's part of why we need each other, because even in our healing journey, right, there's going to be times when I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what the Lord is doing. I don't feel like he's with me. And to have other people come alongside and to say, no, here he is. Here's the direction we're going. The Lord does love us. He's wrapping his arms around us, even in the concept of us being together. There's a witness. So that's one thing that I love about the Call to Peace retreat, is that the camaraderie and the sisterhood that happens there is just really unbelievable to watch. It's so beautiful that there's so much strength that comes as we recognize we're not alone. And not only is the Lord with us, but here's this, like, an army of other people who are surrounding us and providing encouragement and hope and direction and wisdom and comfort. All these things are available to us through God's people. And Call to Peace retreat is just a space where I see that happen. And I'm not getting paid to say this. It's literally like, I watched it happen last year and it was so profound. And so I'm just, it's so wonderful to get to see that kind of togetherness and familial, even with people you've never met before. It's
Yeah.
like, this is my family.
Yes, I have developed some deep friendships out of the retreat myself. And it's just, even if you live far apart, it's just so amazing to have that camaraderie of just somebody else that understands and has walked that journey with you. And you can just, I've seen so many friendships develop out of this as I'm hearing stories and community. And so many times as survivors, it's so hard to build up a community. You don't feel safe in a lot of places and feel safe to share your story. But it's neat when you come here, because a lot of people said they just instantly know other people have experienced what they have experienced. You don't have to explain it all. It's just an instant connection of just like, wow, we understand, and supporting one another. And I just love that, because we don't want anybody to walk this journey alone. And so I'm excited for people to be able to come and connect with our survivors. And I'm excited to hear your session. I know last year it was really amazing, the imagery that you led us through of finding Jesus in our pain, and you kind of led us through an exercise from stage. Can you tell us a little bit about what you'll be speaking on this year?
Well, I am excited that during, in the plenary talk, what I'll be talking more about is an explanation in greater depth of what I've just said here, of just what does it mean for us to be restored by the Lord? And even like, I'd like to be able to unpack some of the things that hinder us from really resting in the Lord and receiving from him. Those are legitimate things that just make it really hard for us to find peace and rest in the Lord and for him to restore us. His gift is there, but we have the option of taking it or of saying, no, I can't, or no, thank you, And I know for me in my life, I've had times when I was ready to grab a hold of that gift of the Lord's restoration, and other times when I really pushed it away. And, there's reasons why people do that. And so I want to talk about that a little bit too, of just to kind of create some normalization of, it makes sense if you're struggling to trust the Lord, if you're struggling to see him as your shepherd and to receive from him. But here's the truth. Here's who he really is. So really, I want to paint a picture of who the Lord is. for people. And that's part of what I'm hoping to be able to do in the plenary session. And then I'll get to do a couple of breakout sessions too, which I'm very excited about. I love talking to helpers. So I'll get to spend some time with some of the advocates and
Yes.
being able to just talk with them about how to help someone, how to help calm distress if you're walking with someone who's really struggling and there's a lot of high emotion and body activation, and what does it look like to just some simple steps to help calm. And then I'll spend some time, hopefully in a breakout session with some of our participants who are survivors, to be able to think about some of the internal meditative work that is good for us to do as we're healing. And what are some practical ways to do that? Because this idea of meditating on the Lord and even self-reflection is a part of our healing process, but it can be real scary. It can feel very scary to do. And so I'm trying to help to demystify some of that and bring some clarity on like some ways to do that. So it's going to be great.
Yes, I'm excited about that. And I'm so glad you mentioned that you're doing a session for our advocates, because this conference, a retreat, is also for people helpers. A lot of people come through that are survivors and are maybe in a very different place in their journey and are looking to help serve other women. And sometimes people come that aren't survivors. And so we also want to equip you with the tools to be able to better serve those that you're called to serve. And so I'm looking forward to both of your breakout sessions and learning myself. That's really good about learning how to help somebody that's distressed to be able to calm themselves, because that can feel very overwhelming and scary when you're in that situation and you're wanting to help calm somebody. And if you don't have the correct tools or the understanding of how to do that, sometimes you can escalate things really quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I am looking forward to this. I cannot wait. And as you may notice, in February, for those who are watching, it is also our scholarship campaign month. We are asking the Lord for $40,000, and that is to scholarship 100 women to our He Makes All Things New 2023 Women's Retreat. And so a lot of times women who come out of domestic abuse, who are survivors, are financially crippled, and they're not able to come, and they long to come so bad. And I've got to hear so many beautiful stories, and we'll be sharing them this month, of women that were scholarshiped and came to the retreat, and how much it really was a pivotal turning point for them in their journey. So many of them connected with other women, and they're like, I built a community out of this. So many women just found encouragement and rest and just healing, and just even with praying with other people through the prayer team. And I'm so excited to share all these stories. And I'm excited. I get to invite you, our listeners, to be part of that too. To be part of a woman's change. When you donate and give, you get to send her there. And as one woman said, it's not just you're donating to a charity or cause, you're donating to change her life. Really, this retreat can be life-changing for her. And so we're excited about that. And do sign up if you've not signed up yet. We've had almost 80 women sign up in the past week. So it is starting. The ball is getting in motion. There is quite a few people signing up. We have 12 weeks left, so don't hesitate. Go ahead and sign up today. We have scholarships available. If you're not able to afford it, full and partial, you just need to apply and explain the situation. And yes, we want everybody to be there that desires to be there. And so we are so excited, Beth, that you joined us today, and looking forward to seeing you at our retreat. And I have a question. I am dying, eager to know. Can you tell me maybe one of the hindrances that come that prevent us from finding rest in our soul, or is that a surprise completely?
Well, I'll be honest. I have not made my outline yet, Lauren. So you just outed me. It's fine. It's okay. It's totally fine. But I will say this. I think one of the main things is our own sense of shame. As we experience abuse and have experienced it, often we, because we're trying to make sense of so much chaos, we can turn that inward on ourselves. And there's this sense of shame. So there may be something in our hearts that's a lodged belief of like, I don't deserve the restoration of the Lord, or he, maybe that's for other people, but not for me. You can sort of hear those shame statements in there, or I can't even slow down. I can't slow down enough to receive from the Lord, which is a legitimate thing for a lot of people. There's kind of this survival mode that happens. But even after you're out of the situation potentially, and you're not dealing with it every single day, you can still feel like you're in that survival mode. Like, if I slow down, I can't slow down. If I slow down, then I'm going to be thinking, and that's going to be too much for me. So it's really hard to come into a state of just meditating on the Lord and receiving from him and knowing him. And shame, I think, can really be a huge hindrance and a barrier to that.
Yes. Wow. I'm looking forward to delving deeper into this with you at the conference and hearing more about this and learning. Because I'm like, yes, I can totally see that in my own life. And actually, one of our interviewees that the other day, Tiffany Lesnick and I were having this conversation, is that it's so often that women, when we come out of abuse or just different backgrounds, everybody is laden with shame. And we think,
Yeah.
oh, I don't deserve this. Or,
Mm.
maybe we felt rejected by other Christians. So we take that own rejection on ourselves and believe that's how God views us and how we should
Yeah.
view ourselves. And so I'm excited that we're going to get to work deeper into that and see who God sees us as.
Yeah. Thank you.
So,
I'm excited. It's going to be great.
yes, I cannot wait. So, well, thank you for joining us today. And thank you for everybody else who joined in watching. And if you want to hear more Beth Broom's sessions, come to our retreat in April. It's going to be amazing. It is April 28th through the 30th in Black Mountain, North Carolina, the Ridgecrest Conference Center. So it's the same place as it was last year. It's a little bit later
Can't
in the
wait.
year, so hopefully we don't get snow.
Oh yeah, that snow. It was quite beautiful, but also shocking. I was not
Yeah.
prepared. I did not bring the right clothes last year.
Beth from Texas is like, what in the world have I got myself into? Yes. Well, we're excited to see you soon. And thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.